City of Sanford City Commission meeting, Monday, December 14th, 2015, 7 p.m. City Commission Chambers, first floor, Sanford City Hall, 300 North Park Avenue, Sanford, Florida.
You ready? Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order for Monday, December 14th. Before we get started, we are going to move item 8A to just in front of the consent agenda, which would be 6A. So we're pulling 8A to in front of 6A. With that being said, if everybody please rise, we'll have the legislative prayer by Arnold Cotton, pastor of the Oak Grove Missionary Baptist Church and City of Sanford Property Fixed Assets Technician. Welcome, sir. That's a big title. I hope you can fill that one in. And then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance immediately following.
Let us pray. Our God and our Father, maker and creator of all things, we come before your presence now with thanksgiving in our hearts. Father, we thank you for the abundant grace and for your tender mercies. We thank you for the blessings of this day. And now, Father, we ask your blessings upon this meeting, that you would guide our hearts and our minds, that we do according to your holy and divine will. We ask your blessings upon our leaders. We ask your blessings upon each and every one of our citizens. And we ask your blessings upon our great city. Bless us now with the blessings that you see we stand in the need of. In Christ Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Okay, we're blessed this evening to have Dr. Jett with the Florida Department of Health in Seminole County with us to give us an update of 2015? 16? I don't even know.
Yes, 20.
It seems like
15 more days.
Yeah. So the floor is yours, sir.
All right. Well, first of all, good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, for allowing me to present today. So today, this is a document that calls Seminole Matters, and it concentrates a little bit more on Sanford community. And so the premise behind this is to give you data that you can use in your community for day-to-day operations, anytime you do any type of planning. We also do a health assessment for the entire Seminole County, which is in our annual report. And so the data comes from ACA, vital statistics. We also did health surveys in Sanford over a 6-month time period. So on page number 3, where you begin to talk about some of the social determinants, we have highlighted, based on census tract data, some of your high poverty areas. And on page 3, you see that first map there, and it highlights census tracts in Georgetown and Goldsboro area, which were the high areas besides Bookertown and Midway. When you begin to look at some of the poverty areas and income combined, you see the low-level performing schools. 4 out of the 5 low-performing schools in Seminole County are in the Sanford area. Page 5 gives you a little bit more highlight of why we begin to hotspot some of these areas. And so, you know, some of the things that show up is low amount of housing being occupied in the Sanford area. And so at least about 24% of the housing units were vacant. And so I know that we were trying to build more housing in the area as people were moved from place to place, or one area was torn down. But this should be an area that we begin to focus on. When I was looking at some of the hospital admissions in the ER, some of the highest areas dealt with asthma in the Sanford area. So that's something to keep in mind. Page 6 goes over some of the highest rates of hospitalizations in the Sanford area and for the causes, and it talks about in the first chart heart disease and stroke and diabetes. When you drill down into these areas, the highest proportion of hospitalizations is in the African American community. In fact, the rate of diabetes is almost 3 times the average in the African American community than it is in any other race. And so that draws areas of concern. It's always the 32771 and the 32773, which usually have to drill down further into the census tract, into the neighborhoods. And so now with the mobile unit, we will begin to do more screenings, neighborhoods, instead of census tract, so that we can begin to bring people into the fold. And hopefully by February, True Health, which is our federal qualified health center in this community, will be housed inside the health department. And so that'll be a new development in order to help the area of Sanford. Page 7, it just talks about a little bit about the rates of disease and how it is doubled in some populations versus others. And in closing, this type of analysis will be done in every city in Seminole County. And so my hope is to do at least 200 to 300 surveys in every city in Seminole County and provide the same type of data for them in terms of how we can rebuild certain communities toward the future. And so we take a more of an upstream approach instead of us just using a medical model and treating people. So do you have any questions? I know I've given you a lot of information. Please take the time to indulge it. You can contact me at any time and I can meet with you individually if need be.
Thank you, Dr. Jett. That's interesting stuff.
Yeah.
When is the mobile unit going to be is it operational yet?
It is operational now, and I'm currently, in order to make sure I can help everybody in Seminole, but pretty much right now in Sanford, we're trying to work out an agreement with Mr. Bonaparte so that we can park in certain designated areas. One of the first areas I do want to target is the Wednesdays Grace and Grits. I've already met with Betty over there, and I think that's a wonderful opportunity because the county gave us $150,000 for the medical unit to make sure that we target a homeless population. And so I have several areas already designed that we're going to go to, and that's actually on our website. And so I want to expand it because it doesn't encompass all of Sanford as it should.
And so you've got something worked out or in the working for the Goldsboro and obviously Midway is not Sanford, but Goldsboro and Georgetown areas?
That's what we're currently working on, trying to make sure we get the legal muster correct for some of the places we need to park. Okay. So we take care of all the liability concerns.
Any questions for Dr. Jett at this time? There's a lot of information here, so it'll probably take a while to digest it. So we greatly appreciate you coming out and spending some time with us, sir.
Thank you. There's also about 20 more copies of the reports for the community if anybody wants to take one with them.
Oh, excellent.
All right.
Mr. Bonaparte?
My question to Dr. Jett, being insightful as he is, was be able to anticipate my question is how can the audience get information? And so he's indicated that there's copies in the back.
There's copies in the back, and also now that if you have seen it, it will be posted online. So I was waiting because I've held this for several months to make sure you saw it first before the community did.
Well, and I have to apologize also. I did see your couple of emails to me to get in front of us, and
No problem. Hey, I understand you have a busy schedule. As I can see, this all is waiting.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, that will bring us to the minutes of November 16th work session and regular meeting.
Move to approve the minutes. Second.
Got a motion, second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. As I suggested in the front, or stated in the front, we're moving item 8A to the front, which will go right now, which is the ranking firms for the catalyst site, and authorize the city manager to negotiate a memorandum of understanding. Mr. Bonaparte.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, it is the staff's recommendation that the City Commission rank the two shortlisted firms, designating one as number 1 and the other as number 2, and authorize the city manager to negotiate a memorandum of understanding with the selected firm as consistent with the order of rankings of the firms to effect the award by the execution of all the documents required to complete the selection process.
Thank you, Mr. Bonaparte. Anybody from the audience like to speak to this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it to the commission for discussion or action.
Commissioner Woodward, this is your district.
I move that we go with the top-rated firm, which was Torrey.
Say again? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Going with the top-rated firm, which was Tory.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Just in short, I greatly appreciate both groups coming and sitting with us upstairs. It was very interesting. Obviously, as I've stated, this is an interesting time for the city of Sanford. It's this is obviously a critical piece to who we are and where we go in the future. And I think both of them had very strong. Both the presenters had very strong points. In all honesty, the selling factor for me to Tories also is the fact that they're involved. They're in the development side of it, and we've seen some of their relationship to how that could be with Sanford. So that being said, I'll support that motion too.
Yeah, I would say, both of the firms I think could do a good job. I was swayed by the historic preservation part of the Tory group, and I think that's important for this city.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to bring us to the consent agenda. Items 6A, B has been pulled for further review and reference at a later date. So it would be A, C through M for approval unless anything needs to be pulled for discussion.
Move to approve consent A and C through M.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Under discussion, under item L, Mr. Bonaparte has stated above, I'd like to create a letter to all the employees signifying the increase that the city is taking on.
I'm sorry, Mr. Say that again?
Is that item L? That the increase of the 1.5 million and the fact that we haven't raised our insurance rates in 7 years, although the city is taking that on as an added benefit for our employees. If we broke just that down into simple factors, even at 500 employees and retirees, it'd be $135 per pay period to every worker. So it's another added benefit from management for our employees that should be of consideration. Thank you. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I know I made the motion, but I did have a question about the health insurance, and I'd forgotten about it because I thought we were going to talk about it upstairs.
Okay.
It's unclear to me what the actual final budget number here is. Is it?
Okay, well, let's do this. Let's pull L.
Okay.
Okay, if you'll amend your approval for A, C through K, and M.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Further discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously, and then we'll discuss item L. Mr. Fossen? Or Mr. Bonaparte? Whichever. Mr. Fossen.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Commission. The budget for this, for the total health care, let me explain our health care just so you understand how it works. We are partially self-funding. The majority of our dollars...
You're going to have to pull that closer to you, please.
We are partially... Can you hear me okay now?
There you go.
We are partially self-funded. And what that means is this: the majority of our dollars that go into the health insurance fund is funding for claims only. So if we have claims in here, we have $4.1 million funded for claims. Funded. If our claims would happen to be $3 million this coming year, that's $1.1 million that was funded that is not spent. So I want to make sure you all understand that, is that when we talk about our health insurance dollars, our fixed costs are actually about $1 million per year. And that is, Blue Cross is the administrator for our health insurance fund, And then we do carry some excess insurance for some of those large claims that we've had. For example, that excess insurance carrier in 2015 to date has paid us over $394,000. But I want to give you some background so you understand those aren't true hard costs except for $1 million. The rest of it is funding. Okay. Historically, our claims have run about 2.5, 2.6, 2.7 a year, claims only. Last 2 years we had a few large claims, and as a consequence, the claims costs went up. In the memo, it refers to in 2014. 2% of our membership had claims costs equal to 100% of our membership the year before. And that had to do with large claims. And we had some in 15. The good news is, the last 3 months, the claims have been trending downward, which is what we were thinking it would do. Now, for this year, what we have is we have funded for claims $4.1 million, and we have about $1 million funded for the fixed costs. And then we have another $600,000 per round for the wellness center. So if you look at the two, we have 5.7 funded. And part of the increase in the wellness center is the fact that we are running at over 100% capacity at the wellness center. And what we wanted to do was to increase more staff time over there. We are not extending the hours. However, on Wednesdays, we're going to have 2 doctors there in the afternoon instead of 1 to accommodate. And Lake Mary, on the other hand, is not going to extend hours, but they're going to have a PA one afternoon where they don't have one there right now. So that's a long answer, Commissioner Woodruff, if you would, and thanks for indulging me. It's right at 5.1 for the health insurance. And then it's another $600,000 for the wellness center. And I hope that helps explain that.
Okay, and does the 5.1, because it looks like it says 2 different things. So the 5.1 funds at 100%?
If we funded it, yes, sir. If we wanted to fund at 100%, and I'm glad you brought this up. It's a very, very good point.
We funded 80, right?
But yes, sir. We funded 80%.
Okay, so the 5.1 funds 80%.
The 5.1 funds at 100, but we are funding at 80 at 4.1.
Okay. So 100% is 5.1.
Yes, sir.
What we are actually going to fund is 4.1.
Which is 80%, yes.
Plus the 600,000.
Plus the $1 million for the fixed costs for Blue Cross to administer the fund and for us to purchase the excess health insurance.
So the total budget is the 5.76.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And does that include employee contributions or employee contributions on top of that?
No, that includes that's the total budget. Employee contributions. Cindy, help me with this if you could. The employee contributions will pay into right.
Okay. Say that again. I didn't catch you.
The employee contributions will pay into the 5.7.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? I'd be happy to help as much as I can. Thank you.
So my number would be closer to 100. So I'll take a motion on the L.
Okay, well, I have one other. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, so it looks like that question's not going to make any sense. I'm sorry. I'll talk to you later because that's going to be a question that's going to take more discussion than.
Okay, I'll take a motion on L then.
I'll move to approve consent L.
I'll second.
The motion second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I mean, just moving forward, I would, during the course of this year, and I'll talk to Fred about it, because this is my first time back looking at the health insurance. I've got some questions about our costs that I need to talk to him about.
Okay.
And I think we're getting too expensive again. And maybe I'm wrong, and he'll explain that to me.
Okay. So I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. Item 7A, the second reading of ordinance 4356 to annex 2.82 acres. Mr. Colbert.
Thank you, Mayor. This ordinance is entitled an ordinance of the City of Sanford, Florida, annexing by voluntary petition certain real property, tax parcel identification number 320-30-501-300-0000, addressed as 115 Lake Boulevard, located contiguous to the City of Sanford, in accordance with the voluntary annexation provisions of Section 171.044 Florida statutes, together with associated rights-of-way, redefining the boundaries of the City of Sanford to include said property, amending the boundaries of the city in accordance with the voluntary annexation provisions of Section 166.031 Florida statutes, providing for findings, providing for conditions, directing the city clerk to record the ordinance with the clerk of the circuit court, chief administrative office, Seminole County, with the Department of State, providing for a legal description and a map, providing for the incorporation of that exhibit, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, providing for non-codification, the taking of administrative actions, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Colbert. Mr. Bonaparte.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission. The city's development review team reviewed the request for annexation on October 13th, 2015, and found the request to meet the criteria set forth in Section 171.044 of the Florida statutes relating to voluntary annexation. The property boundaries are contiguous to the city's boundary and are reasonably compact. The proposed annexation does not create a new enclave. The city staff therefore recommend that the City Commission adopt ordinance number 4356 to annex 2.82 acres bearing the address of 115 Lake Boulevard as legally described into the City of Sanford. I would point out that on December the 9th, the city received a petition from the homeowners of Block Orchard registering concerns, and I know that Mr. Gibson provided an information to the residents, and I'd like him to share that information concerning the concerns that they had with the Commission.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gibson.
Good evening. For the record, Russ Gibson, Director of Planning and Development Services. As the City Manager indicated, you have received copies of the petition that was received. Earlier today, my office received an additional page, similar to the ones that you received earlier, but signed by some additional homeowners and residents within the Lock Harbor community. So I just wanted to make sure that you had copies of those before you received it. The concerns expressed in the petitions were two issues of concern. One was the potential development actions that the city might take subsequent to what has already been accomplished by Seminole County. And even though that is not a matter before the Commission tonight, because the scope of what you're being asked to consider tonight is simply annexing the subject property, but I'll address what the status of the zoning is. And the other concern noted in the petition was the means of access to the subject property. And that too has been addressed. Both by means of an executed development order that the property owner has executed and has been recorded in the public records of Seminole County. I'll go ahead for the record. Note that development agreement is recorded in official record book 6461, pages 560 through 570. Even upon annexation, should the Commission proceed with having the property in the City of Sanford, this development agreement runs with the property, and the terms of the development agreement includes the zoning of the property being PUD, a plan unit development, for 24 lots, and also it specifically stipulates, as it relates to access, it's condition S, as in Sam. Ingress, egress to the development shall be limited to Castle-Verde Boulevard. The development's internal roadway shall meet within the county's requirements for pavement composition and roadway design. And this project provides Seminole County rights of way, and of course, meets the county's requirements. So I believe that even if the City Commission chooses to proceed with annexation, concerns that are expressed by the residents of the Lock Harbor community are addressed satisfactorily, and the existing development commitment is made by the property owner, which again runs the property.
Okay, so just to reiterate and get it on record, there will be no access via Lake Boulevard into this. It'll all be Casa Verde and 46A. Would that be?
Correct, Mayor. Even should the city consider a redesign of the development, the access rights to this property are not only in the terms of the existing development agreement, but the roads like Boulevard, 46A, and Casa Verde Boulevard are all Seminole County roads and would be under their jurisdiction. Moreover, the plan unit development that has been approved by the county for this specific property and the property owners agreed to includes having a brick wall along the perimeter of the entire property that would preclude any access to Lake Boulevard, and it also addresses the concern of having a brick wall to the existing single-family houses to the south.
Okay. And I wanted to state that again because I did receive a couple of phone calls from some of the residents that were of concern. Obviously, you can see the letter that was produced with the signature, so I just wanted to clarify to them that we weren't changing anything. It was the development order. We were just putting them in for the utility purposes alone, and that if something happened or a different development order came in the future, then obviously they'd have the opportunity to speak to that at a different date. Okay. This is a public hearing. If anybody from the audience would like to speak to this item, please do so at this time, although I don't have any green cards. Seeing that, I'll close that, bring it back to the commission for further discussion or action.
Well, I'll move to approve ordinance number 4356 with all of the, what's the word I want? All the stipulations that have been discussed and placed on the record by Mr. Gibson.
Second. Okay, the motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. That brings us to item B, the second reading of ordinance 4357, a vacated portion of public utility easement. Mr. Colbert.
This ordinance is entitled An Ordinance of the City of Sanford, Florida, vacating and abandoning a portion of a north-south utility easement, which is 10 feet in width, less than north 20 feet, within the South Pinecrest First Edition, upon Lot 31, located at 790 East Airport Boulevard, as recorded in Plat Book 10, pages 42 and 43, Public Records of Seminole County, Florida. Tax parcel identification number 12030-518-000-310, providing for the taking of implementing administrative actions, providing for legislative findings and intent, repealing all conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, providing for non-codification, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Colbert. Mr. Bonaparte.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission. The staff recommends the City Commission approve the request to vacate the existing portion of the 10-foot wide north-south public utility easement and provide an alternate 9-foot 8-inch north-south utility easement situated west of Lot 31 as indicated on the attached sketch and description within the plat of the South Pinecrest First Edition as recorded in Plat Book 10, pages 42 and 43 of the Public Records of Seminole County, Florida, as indicated on the Exhibit A and B.
Thank you, Mr. Bonaparte. Would Mr. Delgado or representative like to speak to this item? No, this is a public hearing. I'll open it up to anyone from the audience who'd like to speak. Seeing no one, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Move to adopt ordinance number 4357.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. Item C, the first reading of ordinance 4359 to vacate 30-foot wide right-of-way. Mr. Colbert.
This ordinance is entitled an ordinance of the City of Sanford, Florida, vacating and abandoning a 30-foot wide portion of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, Revere Road, right-of-way located along Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and south of State Road 46, West 1st Street, part of M.M. Smith's subdivision, Sanford, Florida, is recorded in Plat Book 1, page 58, Public Records of Seminole County, which is generally located at 2901 West 1st Street, reserving utility easement over the vacated right-of-way, providing for legislative findings and intent, providing for attachment and incorporation of exhibit, providing the taking of implementing administrative actions, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, providing for non-codification, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Colbert. Mr. Bonaparte.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, the City's Development Review Team heard the matter on November the 10th, 2015, and had no objections to the vacate subject to the public easement over and under the entire subject property. It is therefore staff's recommendation the City Commission approve the first readings of Ordinance 4359 to vacate a portion of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard located at 2901 West 1st Street, subject to the public easement over and under the entire subject property acceptable to the city.
Thank you, sir. Would anybody from Transit Properties like to speak to this item? No, it is a public hearing. Anybody from the audience? Seeing no one, I'll close that and bring it to the commission.
Move to approve ordinance number 4359 on first reading.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. Item D, the first reading of ordinance 4360, amending city code. Mr. Colbert.
This is entitled an ordinance of the City Commission, City of Sanford, pertaining to floodplain management, amending the city's code of ordinances, the city code, repealing Chapter 46 City Code and enacting a new Chapter 46, adopting flood hazard maps and substantive matters relating thereto, designating a floodplain administrator, adopting definitions, processes, procedures, and criteria for development in flood hazard areas and related subjects and matters, providing for applicability of the provisions of the ordinance, providing for technical amendments to the Florida Building Code, providing for implementing administrative actions, providing for savings and detailing the effect of ordinance, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Colbert. Mr. Bonaparte.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, the city's current Chapter 46 is out of step with changes to the Florida Building Code and is not in an acceptable form to the National Flood Insurance Program. It is therefore the city staff's recommendation the City Commission approve the first reading of ordinance number 4360.
Thank you, sir. This is a public hearing. Would anybody from the audience like to speak to this item? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission.
Move to approve ordinance 4360.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Do we have the map of the affected properties for this? I assume this is pushed down by the state, right? I saw some.
Mayor, this will actually apply citywide. We do have maps that are but the other FEMA requirements will expect to be in the CRS program as early as May of next year, 2016. And to further answer your question, there are some specific properties that FEMA has identified that are may not totally meet the flood insurance issues. One outbuilding on Marina Isle, for example, that I think there's 5 properties total in Sanford that have issues that
So if and I don't know how many, I didn't have an opportunity to look at the map, but let's say I'm a homeowner or a property owner that I'm not currently in the floodplain, but the state's new guidelines puts me in the floodplain via the state. But if we don't do this, then they can't get the discount for the flood insurance? Am I going through the proper steps on this? Or I keep saying state, but I mean the federal, yeah.
This action does not change the boundaries of what delineated as from floodplain areas. You're correct there. This will make those properties that are subject to required flood insurance or flood insurance get a premium discount. And Sanford will be only one of the 3 cities in Summit County that will be participating in the CRS program. This is a benefit that will save our property owners thousands of dollars, as well as the city on our own properties, city-owned properties.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much, and please relay to Mr. Cash his hard work and efforts. I know that it's never easy when you get the feds involved, or FEMA, or state, or county.
You know, we're all supposed to go underwater 10 years ago.
Yeah, the great flood's coming anyway. So, item E, the first reading of ordinance 4361, amending city code. Mr. Colbert.
This ordinance is entitled an ordinance of the City of Sanford, Florida, relating to the dates of city elections, providing for amendment to Section 6.1 of the City of Sanford City Charter with regard to establishing dates to provide that all such elections shall occur and be implemented in accordance with the provisions controlling state law with regard to the state primary election, state general election dates, providing for legislative and administrative findings, providing for verification of signatures, petitions, providing for implementing administrative actions, responsibility for implementation, providing for a savings provision, providing for codification, as well as the correction of scrivener's errors, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Gunport.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission. City staff recommends that the City Commission approve ordinance number 4361 on first reading and approve the proposed intergovernmental agreement with the Seminole County Supervisor of Elections.
Thank you, sir. This is a public hearing. If anybody would like to speak to this item, please do so at this time. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the Commission for discussion or action.
I'll move to approve the first reading of ordinance number 4361. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Further discussion.
Yeah, were we also going to look at moving the date that we take office? I know we can't do that by ordinance, but was that something we were going to look into? Because it seems like, you know, if you're elected in
August you're going to January.
No runoff.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
Yeah.
Does that have to go on a
That's
referendum also?
I need to check back on that. I remember looking at it one time, but I've got to check it again.
Okay, yeah, because if that's got to go to a referendum, we're going to obviously have to.
But we could actually put it on the referendum in August.
It should be the day after. I think we discussed it. It'd have to be the day after the general election, or sometime right after the first meeting after the general election. So November 4th, whatever our first meeting in November would be, would be the transfer of office. And I don't think we can do it. We discussed we couldn't do it this time around
But
because
you
it
can't
reduced
shorten
sentences.
But I think we have to go ahead and make the change before the new.
I'm glad you got
before they're elected.
Right.
The change has to be if I understood Mr. Colbert correctly during that.
I think that's correct.
Yeah.
So it becomes effective 2018.
It would be the terms, the upcoming election terms.
The next time you're elected, it could be that term.
Right.
2016 election.
Well, it would depend on seat. It wouldn't.
Wouldn't affect me and Patty. It would affect 1, 3, and the mayor.
Yeah, yours, the first ones out of the gate would be
1, 3,
1, 3, and mayor.
That's it,
Right.
2018.
1, 2, and mayor. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you say 18.
I said 2018.
Okay.
It becomes
Right.
effective,
Right.
2018.
Okay, so Mr. Colbert, look into that part of it. And then Cynthia, you and Commissioner Woodruff are going to work on the other part of it, spoken upstairs about the flyers and the...
That's for the other
That's
referendum.
the referendum in March. This is for the general election.
Oh, I'm sorry. You got too many referendums going on. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion on that? Seeing none. Oh, we got a motion? See none.
Yes, you have a...
No further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approved unanimously.
And then there's the second part to this. The intergovernmental agreement with Seminole County Supervisor of Elections.
Well, it's and.
Yeah. So I know when I said I moved to approve it, I was about to read the end, but I didn't get that far before.
No, I...
Seconded with the understanding of the...
Yeah.
Okay, of the end.
approval.
Okay.
I thought it'd be two separate motions. Okay, it's ready. Good.
I'm looking.
Here. Take mine.
I just had mine out of whack, out of order. Okay, a second motion to approve the agreement is appropriate. I see it now.
I move
Okay.
to approve the proposed intergovernmental agreement with Seminole County Supervisor Elections.
Seconds.
Okay, motion second on that. This is I'll open the public hearing if anybody'd like to speak to that item. Seeing none, bring it back to the commission for action. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I need to go back to sleep. Opposed? Approved unanimously. Okay, get me out of the 7s. We're in the 8s now. Okay. 8B, appoint member of Firefighters Retirement System Board of Trustees.
Move to appoint Mr. Russi to the Firefighter Retirement System Board of Trustees.
I'll second that.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second for Mr. Russi. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. Okay, and if anybody'd like to speak to any of these items, just raise your hand so I don't say it up front. But we'll go on to C, waive accrued interest on municipal lien 08175. Mr. Bonaparte.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, staff is recommending that the City Commission waive the accrued interest of $1,525.05 contingent upon the payment of the lien amount of $1,804.24 by February 15, 2016. The applicant has maintained the property with no additional code violations since October of 2008. This will recover the city's actual cost for the abatement actions.
Thanks, sir. Is the property owner here who wants to speak to this item? No? Okay, I'll bring it back to the commission for discussion or action.
Move to waive the accrued interest on municipal lien 08175 in the amount of $1,525.05. Contingent upon payment of lien amount of $1,804.24 by February 15, 2016.
I've got a motion and a second. What would the actual amount be if we put it underneath the, I didn't see that in here, if it was actually under the forgiveness program?
But I don't know. I know that Mr. Presley had planned to be here, or however, he had a family situation, and that's why he was not able to attend.
Would this fall under that plan? Because this isn't a fine, it's an actual hard cost.
I know we've gone back to hard costs in the past, and I'm okay with collecting our original amount. I just was curious as to under the program where it'd fall, or if it did. I'm going to make the assumption on the recommendation from that this is that he's reviewed the best way to go, and this would be the way.
Yes, this recovers our actual cost. It doesn't get us the interest, but it does get us the actual cost.
Okay. All right, I'll go along with it. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. Bring us to item D, approved partial release of liens pertaining to vacant properties located at 1400 1410 West 25th Street, Mr. Bonaparte.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, the Florida Department of Transportation is initiating an eminent domain action to require right-of-way for the widening of 25th Street. Staff has been approached by the Florida Department of Transportation requesting the city grant a partial release of lien to the extent it impacts the section of two parcels they are acquiring. It is therefore the staff's recommendation that the City Commission approve the request for partial release of the liens to facilitate the Department of Transportation's eminent domain action. Code enforcement liens will remain attached to the remainder of the property.
Thank you, Mr. Bonaparte. Anybody from the audience like to speak to this? You now bring it back to the commission for discussion or action. So, this is the other one that I question is what the amount is.
This doesn't result in money being paid. It just releases the lien from a portion of right-of-way the state is taking, and then the actual lien amount will remain on the remainder of the property.
Gotcha. Thank you. Okay. That explains it to me. Any further discussion?
I would just point out these are the same people that run Sunrail.
As long as we still got a lien, I'm gonna collect from FDOT one of these days. Something.
I do have a question for the attorney, and it looks like paperwork was prepared by FDOT, partial release of city improvement lien. Does that matter?
It doesn't matter.
The way it's phrased?
It's a partial release, so it's a distinction without a legal difference.
Okay.
Why are we releasing the lien for them?
My understanding is they want to widen the road, and so they're taking this little sliver of land, and they can't have a lien on it.
And so we're releasing that little sliver, but keeping it on the whole, so that they can close.
Not giving any money due, just releasing a part of the property.
We're shoving the lien a little bit further in onto the piece of property.
Yeah. I just should vote against it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I thought about that, but then I thought, they're widening 25th Street.
So.
Yeah. Pick your battle.
Is that cutting off your nose to spite your face?
That's right.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
I had a motion, Mayor.
Oh, I didn't.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. Item E, preliminary subdivision plan for Paradise Subdivision. Mr. Bonaparte.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, we have received a request for preliminary subdivision plan, Paradise Subdivision, and it is the staff's recommendation City Commission approve the preliminary subdivision plan for Paradise Subdivision at 4976 County Road 427, based on the plan meeting the requirements of the Land Development Regulation. And it's also that this is ex-judicial matter, and as part of ex parte communications, investigations, site visits, and expert opinions regarding the matter must be disclosed.
Has anybody had any of those?
Nope.
Nope. Thank you. Mr. Gibson?
Flea World.
Although, as the city manager indicated, that the development is subject to compliance with the city's building regulations. In this case, the applicant has applied for a conditional use for urban infill development. The process that land development provides some degree of flexibility with regards to some design standards. And that conditional use for urban infill redevelopment was approved unanimously by the Planning and Zoning Commission last month on November 5th, with conditions as outlined on page 2 of the agenda memorandum. So again, this is not a subdivision that meets the standard minimum requirements, but it's customized for the subject property. And staff again recommends that the City Commission consider approving this one subdivision. The applicant is present this evening as the
Mr. Moorhead?
Chad Moorhead with Matt Moorhead and Glom. Also have Kevin Kramer with me.
Kevin Kramer with David Weekly Homes. I have a presentation that I put together for the conditional use approval to P&Z. I can go through that if you'd like, or just save it in case there's questions and do different parts. Just depends what you guys want.
What would you all like to see? Would you like to see the full?
Yeah, I would.
I'd like to see something that convinces me we should have 2,000 square foot lots.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Sure. Again, David Weekly Homes. So real briefly who we are, largest private builder in the United States. We've been in Orlando, since Celebration opened. I think it's been 16 years. And we have built, we've built in Celebration since it started. We're still building there. We've built in Baldwin Park since it started, just finished up there. We're building in Laureate Park, which is in Medical City, down by Lake Nona. Oakland Park out in Winter Garden, just to kind of give you an idea. We build quite a bit around the area. We will close about 250 homes this year. We are a move-up buyer home. We do not sell typically to the first-time buyers, more of a second or third move-up. Our proposed development is a high density that we call it. We have a lot of experience with the high density type product nationally. We also do locally here. For instance, in Lake Nona and also in Celebration, detached homes on 30-foot wide lots. So they're actually a 24-foot wide home, 3-foot side setbacks. These homes sell for a very high price. They kind of cater to the empty nester and professional buyers, where low maintenance, so small yard, so lower maintenance, but high finishes in the home. The granite countertops, wood floors. We plan the same things for this community. On this plan, the brown lots are the 40-foot wide lots, a 30-foot wide home, and can you flick a couple more? Another one? Another one? And one more. Sorry. So this is some conceptual elevations of what would go on those lots. So these are the front load with the garage in the front. If you can go to the next slide, please.
And those were the 40-foot lots?
These are the 40-foot wide lots with a 30-foot wide home. Right there, if you can hold here, please. You can see we've got the garage door is set back 10 feet from the front of the home so that there's a full 20-foot driveway. So 2-car garage, 2 cars in the driveway can fit. The home extends 10 feet closer to the roadway. So these have a 10-foot front setback for the home, 20 feet to the garage door. That is a front porch that I've outlined in red there. And then they have a 15-foot backyard. All homes are 2-story, and they square footage-wise, we are 1,650 square feet of living area, up to 2,300 square feet. And I know everybody likes to know price. Current market conditions, we estimate that base pricing would be $267,000 up to $329,000. That's base pricing
For a
before.
1,600 square foot house?
Yes, ma'am.
What was your range? 267 to?
To 329 is base price based on current market conditions.
And your 329 would be what size home?
That's the 2,300 square foot home.
329?
All 3 bedroom, 2 bath at least. Many of them 3 bedrooms. Higher end finishes. Those are the front load. And then if you can go back a couple of slides, please. And one more, please. So these are the homes. You'll notice we already flicked the slide, but the blue and the orange lots are they're alley load. So in other words, the driveways are off of the alleys, and then they front on park space. One more. So the bottom of the page would be the front of the home on the park space. So these are designed, call these courtyard living, and they are designed so that you live to the front of the home. So the garage is in the back, a 2-car garage, and then the living area, and then even the outdoor, the area there that I clouded in red, is a kind of an outdoor area that the homes live out onto. So there's outdoor living areas there. You can hardscape it in with some fencing, but you could do an outdoor kitchen, fire pit, the grass area, pavers. It's actually in the front of the home because the homes then front onto park space. So they front onto a mews or the recreation area. So
wait, this must be, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Is this new in design? Because when we just had this presentation upstairs from Tory, I had really never seen that before, and they went right to the same thing for some development we're doing downtown. Is that a new concept?
It is. The trend nationally is for some smaller homes. Smaller homes, but nice finishes, where the money is spent on not so much the square footage as it is all the perks, all the options, the granite, the floors, the kitchen, especially master bathrooms. That is where the money is spent, not so much on just large square footage that doesn't get used. Also, this trend is because of as the cities are growing, the move back into the urban centers, and we feel that this location really fits it perfectly because, well, first I've got 2 large highways on both sides of it, so we're really not next to other more conventional residential areas. Second is there's a lot of jobs right in this area. You have you've got the school board nearby, the courthouse, the college is huge. And then the Reagan Center is going through Seminole County approval for some more office space, and we just think it is a high employment area where it is.
Airport.
Airport. There's just it would cater more to the buyer who is not looking for the large lots. Frankly, there's plenty of the large square footage or the large lots that are available in the area if somebody wants. That this is just appeals to a different market. We are putting in a pool and cabana. Cabana would be the bathrooms, and then the under roof shelter. Gated, it is proposed. And if you can go all the way back, please, to the second slide.
Can you go back to that one?
Sure.
Okay, I can't quite read. Point to the garage. Is that what I'm looking at?
Yeah. This is the garage.
Okay. Thanks.
Garage up there. This is the courtyard area,
okay.
And then the park area, the views and the recreation area is actually in the front. So you have your private space if you're entertaining, that you are in your courtyard area, but it also looks out onto the park space, and if kids are there, it spills out into the park space when you're entertaining.
Now, where would visitors park if you were entertaining?
We have we have 17 of the alley homes. So those are the only homes that don't have a 2-car garage. And we have, I'm going to go back up, we've got off-street parking. All right. So these are, not only is this a 2-lane drive, 2-lane road, but then we'll have bumped in like typical city parallel parking spaces along here, here, and here. So 17.
Okay.
17 parking spaces that are designated, out of the drive lane. And if you can go to the second slide, please. So this is our project in Celebration where we've done these mews. These are 30-foot wide lots with 24-foot wide homes. And they front onto these park spaces. The one on the right is, I think, 16 feet wide. The one on the left varies from 20 to about 30. It's hard to see here, but it's a little bit pie-shaped. And the concept works. Like I said, here locally, we're selling in, this is Spring Lake in Celebration. It's a parcel that we purchased just on the fringe of Celebration that we then developed into a combination of townhomes and these detached single-family lots.
Kevin, who's the group that's doing the one there on 434 across from the Winter Springs Town Center? It's very similar looking around on 434.
Yeah, that's a combination. You had, Meritage is in the back, and then you had Levitt and Sons did years ago, the 3-story townhomes across the street.
Okay.
Probably the best example I would give is our Celebration community. But then Laureate Park at the Medical City, same thing, 30-foot wide lots, 24-foot wide homes. Now here, we're doing 5-foot setbacks instead of 3 feet, just because we do think it's newer. Those are larger master plan communities where it may be more acceptable. We did feel that we needed 5-foot setbacks, just because it's a newer concept.
5-foot side yard setbacks?
Side yard setbacks.
On which lots?
On all of them.
On all of them.
So they're 10 feet between homes.
On this one?
On our proposed, yes, for this development. Where some of the other ones I mentioned were 3-foot setbacks.
Oh, he was saying it's 5 feet from you to Velma. But it's 5 feet on either home. You get 10.
And that's on this. Yeah. Okay.
I'm with you on the tight setbacks, but it's been kind of.
I'm intrigued. I'll go that far.
This is an interesting concept. I've seen a couple of them in my other industry. We've looked at several of these on this smaller size scale. Actually, even a little bit smaller than this one. And there's an interesting one. It's a little bit higher end, but it's just off of Longwood Lake Mary Boulevard. It's kind of like a Tuscany style where it's all about the courtyard and everything overlooks the courtyard. And there's no amenities other than the courtyard, but it's kind of the overlook, the outdoor style living for upper middle class, but empty nesters, so to speak.
Right.
So it's a 2-story. And everything's kind of hidden, so to speak, but the open arena style, closer knit, so to speak, than the traditional. And it's worked. He pre-sold almost all that, and it's an interesting site to say the least. It's got a big cell phone tower right in the backyard. So.
It's what it is an alternative to townhomes. We could come in and propose townhomes on this project, and
you wouldn't bat an eye.
And it would probably get approved, but we will sell these for probably $50,000, $75,000 more per unit, just because it's detached. And they're a little more pride of ownership. You own, you're owning your lot as well as your home. I can tell you, nationally, we try to pull them apart at the cost of some density, because we feel we get at least $50,000 per unit more selling it.
How far out in front of the new Reagan Center approvals are you going to be? Kind of going at the same time, or are you going to be pretty much out in front of them?
I think we're out in front of them. It's gone pretty smoothly. You may know a little better the schedule.
I'm not sure where the Reagan Center is right now. But I believe we're probably a little bit out in front of them.
They have quite a bit more just initial infrastructure to put in the ground also, just to make the pads ready, for the office buildings, and they have a townhome component also. Yeah, demo.
Yeah, they have a townhome component south of Ronald Reagan.
Yeah. And we're always concerned with the setbacks, and we've gone through a lot of these and Chad, you've been involved in a couple of those that have been in front of us. But I really think, looking at this, and I spent some time kind of going back and forth looking at this and how it sits right on what's Seminole County and the approval for the old Flea World site and the location, not only just in the general area, but you go across 1792 and you get over into the SCC area, or SSC, I guess now. I mean, there's some you get into the larger home sites and the townhomes that are there, and this is kind of a kind of an in-betweener, so to speak, as you got all three concepts. You got the townhome right there behind Publix, and then you've got the bigger houses, a little bit more to the west of there. So I think it fits for this component.
I do too. I like it. And I think that the high-end interior finishes, the floors, the granite, sort of makes me more amenable to those smaller setbacks. Because what's happened to us in the past is there have been kind of lower quality homes, lesser quality, maybe I should say, lots with scored banding and things like that, with those tiny setbacks. And I've got a neighborhood in my district, and those neighborhoods deteriorate very quickly. So I think the higher end, I understand exactly where you're coming from, and I like this a lot. For sure.
And I think there's something that we can take from this also is the off-site parking, or the curb parking, so to speak. You got 17 additional spots, and a lot of the stuff that we've talked about, and you go through some of our other approvals, our early approvals, is the on-street parking. People are parking right on the road. You can't even squeeze through them. So, we could actually take this to lesson for some future developments of having the additional spots for the single or even the double, putting a little bit more into it.
I like that a lot. I also like the fact that your garages are not flush with your. I think that's really a neat way to do it, the front loading garage, and I live in a neighborhood that doesn't have, they just park right on the street. Everybody just parks right on the street, and so I like the idea of the little curb cuts.
I notice that every day when I drive by your house.
I know. I keep seeing you, and you slow down and you're looking.
Okay, this is getting weird.
Creepy.
Hey, can I say one thing though that without offending you?
Sure.
Oh boy, that never starts well, man. It never starts.
I gotta put in my 2 cents and take it for what it's worth on this. I think this is exciting. I could even see myself there when I get older and retire.
So we're telling us upstairs you had fixed that house up. So
well, it's cool.
Now you're going to move out.
And this is just something that's been bothering me ever since I looked at it, and I just feel compelled to say something to you. I hate that name.
Kevin?
I live in Paradise. It sounds like a cheesy mobile home park, like something you would see on TV, like a sitcom show. It's an awful name.
I agree. That's not the name.
Oh, good. Okay.
My mom named me that. There's nothing I can do.
It's Paradise Lot 1 is the plat. So
okay,
that's why
it's just so cheesy sounding for such lovely homes.
I agree. In fact, I have a note that we talked about when can I come up with a community name?
Wonderful.
So we need one.
Now there is a plant called a Paradise Palm, something like Paradise Palms or.
There'll be no paradise in the name.
Good. Okay.
The one thing I didn't see in here was anything from the CAP meeting. I don't know if it just didn't get into my book, or I'm assuming there was one, but
nobody was there. I went and looked at it on the.
You did? Okay.
I looked it up on the P&Z agenda.
Okay.
Who would it be? It'd be
500 feet. There's nobody there.
Humane
Society.
I do.
Dollar Tree, Just Breaks, the insurance guy, and Nation's Truck Sold Lot.
Right.
I think you're going to get a lot of teachers from college and.
Or no, the Dollar Store.
Okay, but here's where I get heartburn approving something like this, and I agree. This is not at all what I was expecting, and so I like what I'm seeing here. But all that we're approving, Russ, is the lot layout, right? And the fact that they have to have one architectural feature on their house, and the garages have to be set back. Is that correct? Essentially?
Well, the conditions that the Planning and Zoning Commission approved are not formally before the commission tonight. It is the preliminary subdivision plan, so you are looking at the overall subdivision plan, the manner in which it's intended to be configured. Now, recognizing that those are the conditions that do pertain to the design of the lots if the subdivision process is approved. Subdivision of property this evening, sir.
Right, and so all of the things he said about the finishes and how nice these are going to be, none of that is actually in our approval.
Nor, and I refer to the city attorney, nor are, I believe, the appropriate conditions that should be placed on the
Right.
It's certainly stipulated by the applicant that that's the intent. I don't believe there's a mechanism before the commission tonight to ensure those commitments will be realized, other than what the Planning and Zoning Commission has already approved.
So they approved some other conditions on the infill that are not included here? Or, I mean, I've got 4 conditions with some A's and B's and C's.
Those are the conditions
Okay.
that apply to this property.
All right, so, and I always have to say, I have no doubt this is what you really plan on doing, and I've said that many times, but we're approving 34-foot lots that stay with this piece of property no matter who develops it. And so we've got to come up with a mechanism that allows us to, I mean, we've got to get our standards fixed so that we have things like this in our standards, or we have something that says if they go below, you know, I mean, our minimal lot size is 6,000 square feet, right? You know, where do we have in our code that says, you know, if you deviate from these standards, you have to do, and list those out? And we've got to come up with something like that. Otherwise, you know, every time we approve one of these, we're putting ourselves at risk.
And it could be, yeah, teeny tiny little manufactured homes with one architectural feature.
And I have taken a lot of grief many times because, oh, well, they're not going to do that. It's like, I know they're not going to, but the next person might, and we always make these approvals that go with the land.
That's a good point.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to change the code, but you can't do it tonight. Yeah,
that's my point. We keep approving these kind of things, and you know, we keep saying we've got to do, but we've got to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're even having a dog park, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
That's nice.
I know you would like that.
I did like that.
Now, I did note that one of the conditions is if y'all get in some disagreement, it at least goes back to P&Z, right? Okay. All right.
Okay. Further questions for Mr. Kramer or Mr. Moorhead? No? Thank you, gentlemen. Would anybody from the audience like to speak to this item?
One architectural feature.
And I have taken a lot of grief many times because, oh, well, they're not going to do that. It's like, I know they're not going to, but the next person might, and we always make these approvals that go with the land.
That's a good point.
Oh. Yeah. Hey, you got to change the code, but you can't do it tonight. Yeah.
That's my point. We keep approving these kind of things, and you know, we keep saying we've got to do, but we've got to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're even having a dog park, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
That's nice.
I know you would like that.
I did like that.
Now, I did note that one of the conditions is if y'all get in some disagreement, it at least goes back to P&Z, right? Okay. All right.
Okay. Further questions for Mr. Kramer or Mr. Moorhead? No? Thank you, gentlemen. Would anybody from the audience like to speak to this item? Okay, now I'll bring it back to the commission for further discussion or action.
I move to approve the preliminary subdivision plan for the Paradise subdivision.
Second.
A motion second. Further discussion.
I think this is a very good site to try something like this at.
I agree.
Please, please don't disappoint us.
Oh, he's not. I know that. But
You might sell the land to
it's the guy
somebody else.
sitting next to him we're worried about.
Yeah, don't sell it to somebody else who's gonna.
Bit of just a back history question. This is the back half of part of the Robertson property. Did y'all buy that? Was that the owner y'all purchased from, or was this like a?
I don't know the name.
Okay.
All right, further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen.
Curious.
Item F, Resolution 2567, Mr. Bonaparte.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission. The city's police department was awarded a 2015 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance countywide grant. This funding will be used to purchase 7 additional officer-worn body cameras, which will bring the total number of body cameras to 93. It is the staff's recommendation that the City Commission approve Resolution number 2567, amending the budget in recognition of the 2015 Edward Byrne Memorial Assistance Grant in the amount of $14,085.
Thank you, sir. Bring it to the commission for discussion or action.
I'll move to approve budget resolution number 2567.
Second. Good motion, second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. Item G, Resolution 2568.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, it's the City staff's recommendation that the City Commission approve a budget amendment number 2568 in the amount of $78,000 and acceptance of the Go Greenfield grant in the amount of $20,320. The grant would offset the cost of 8 pieces of exercise equipment at each Grove View and Lee P. Moore parks.
Thank you, sir. Commission?
Move to approve.
Second.
The motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. Item H, Resolution number 2569, Mr. Bonaparte.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, the Recreation Department was awarded a 2015-2016 Seminole County Community Services Block Grant, Senior Services Mini Grant in the amount of $4,025. The fund will be used for a wellness program for seniors, providing exercise and health education programming materials for seniors age 55 and over. The program will be held at the West Side Community Center and the Sanford Senior Center. It is therefore staff's recommendation that the City Commission approve Resolution number 2569, amending the Recreation Department's Senior Center FY 15-16 facilities operation budget in recognition of the grant.
Thank you, Mr. Bonaparte. Commission? For discussion or action?
Yeah, it's 4,000 for both, for 4,000 split between both centers? That's all we got out of all that money?
Well, it is a mini grant.
It's still going to be half.
Yeah, but I thought they were 3 $10,000 grants.
You could apply in the amount of up to $10,000. When we mapped out our 8-week program that will be offered 3 times a year at both locations, that covered the amount of materials we needed that we could staff properly. So we could have asked for more money, but due to the guidelines of the grant, we couldn't fulfill those.
Okay.
So we're comfortable with that amount of money.
Okay. All right. So I'll move to approve budget resolution number 2569.
Second.
Get a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Thanks, Lisa, for doing that. That's going to be great for the seniors. I just don't
Opposed?
understand. Oh,
Approved unanimously.
I just don't understand why you would think someone 55 was a senior.
Oh, please.
You're almost there.
I'm not even close.
Actually,
Mentally
our
or
programs
physically?
start at 50. So.
I can't even make it through the agenda without...
Yeah.
Well, what starts at
Our
50?
programs start at 50 for senior center.
Oh,
Well, I can go.
You can ride with Mr. Kirby.
Okay. Item I, Resolution 2570, accepting and adopting 2015 through 2020 Seminole County Floodplain Management Plan. Mr. Bonaparte.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, the adoption of the 2015 to 2020 Seminole County Flood Plain Management Plan will provide for continued grant funding and discounts available to homeowners, businesses, and the city on flood insurance policies for local mitigation initiatives as approved through the Federal Emergency Management Agencies. Therefore, staff's recommendation that the City Commission approve Resolution Number 2570, accepting and adopting the 2015-2020 Seminole County Floodplain Management Plan.
Thanks, sir. Commission, for discussion or action?
Move to approve.
A motion second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. Item J, Resolution 2571, Mr. Bonaparte.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, this is a request to deauthorize one position and authorize another position. There's no current employee affected by this position. It is the fiscal impact to the general fund, as the pay grades are the proposed same. This was discussed during the budget process, where we're looking to get Commission approval to take the position that was Executive Assistant to the City Commission in the City Manager's Office and move to the Finance Office a Performance Management Coordinator position at the same pay grade. It is therefore staff's recommendation that the City Commission approve Resolution 2571, amending the classification and pay plan.
Thank you, sir. Bring it to the Commission for discussion or action.
Where? I can't find this in my book. Wasn't it up front under the work session?
Up front, yes.
I can't. Can you tell me what number it is again?
5D.
5D?
5D under work session.
Yeah,
Can you, while we're all looking for that item that was in the front, can you explain to us what exactly this is, Mr. Bonaparte?
Certainly. This is what we discussed during the budget process. As Ms. Lindsay has indicated, even with the tax increase, we're looking at needing some additional organizational development, organizational initiatives from a management perspective to make the organization sustainable. So what we're looking to do is be able to bring in, as a lot of cities have done, an outside person that will work with the different departments, working with us with the Management Partners Report, but primarily looking to see how we can be more efficient in our operations.
But this will be a city employee, not
That's correct. But that will be their task.
I'm trying to remember this discussion. And I'm old, so it was a long time ago.
Are you over 50?
Uh-huh.
Mr. Kirby, you got a senior program for him?
If you want, Mr. Mayor, maybe Ms. Lindsay can share with you some of the ideas that she has for the position.
Because this just sounds like one of those jobs that it's
Job I want.
What do you think? Really hard to know for sure if the person's doing their job. And where's it now? Is this going to be all new tasks that this person will be doing, or are you taking some tasks from different people so there's better coordination of that?
That's what this position would be doing. And it would also help with the management partner study as well. They would also be tasked with the ideas and the management partner looking at as far as revenue, looking at revenue, making sure it's covering the costs, et cetera.
And it is our intent to be able to document to the Commission where we're seeing the efficiencies and the value added that this position would bring.
So what type of a training degree, et cetera, does this person have?
One of the other characteristics normal for this position is called Lean Six Sigma, where they're trained in terms of looking at efficiencies, finding efficiencies. The idea, and with all due respect to other employees, I believe we're doing the best we know how. The question is bringing someone in whose job is to help us to do and think about things we're not thinking about, to be able to take more of an objective, because they're not going to be working for any department except the finance department, to work to find efficiencies that the others may not find, as well as bringing in ideas, best practices from other organizations.
I always get weary when someone says, "I'm here to help you." That I don't know. I always get scared. Personally, I'm going to vote against this one just for now until I talk to someone at the county to see what this means and where it goes and how they're held accountable. I don't have enough. Yeah,
Also,
well, I mean, we can do whatever we want. I'd like to see it tabled for another discussion, just so I can do some more research.
Also, I was going to ask, would you consider that person's carrying out some of the responsibilities that Arlene Davison carried out, and that this money that you're talking about is the money that was utilized for her position? Had you... Beg pardon? I said, would you consider it? I understand the difference between them, but I was talking about some of the duties and responsibilities that Arlene Davison carried out when she was here.
I think that would defeat the purpose of the position. I see where you're going with that.
Totally different.
Well, I understand the difference.
Well, Mr. Mayor, members of the Commission, Mira raises a good point. What we can do is, one, give the Commission time to rethink about it. We can also see about getting information from the county as well as other cities in terms of what their position is done, because this is something that's done in a lot of different cities, and it has been proven beneficial, but it is new for us, and so we can see about getting some additional information. And if that's the case, then we would, as staff, ask that it be tabled.
Have you done a job description for it?
Yes.
Okay. That'd be something that I'd like to see.
I would too. That would help us better understand. I mean, this almost sounds like a quality control kind of a...
Even more than that, some of it is innovative thinking. There's different organizations. The Innovation Group, for instance, is one that comes to mind in Florida, where different cities have tied in to be able to share cutting-edge information on how to improve efficiencies in management. We can get this information to you.
Okay, thank you. Then I would move to continue.
Okay, got a motion to...
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. Item K, Resolution 2572. Mr. Bonaparte.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission. This, too, is a pay and classification adjustment amendment. This one is based upon the Management Partners study that we restructure our Utilities Department, and it shows the different 3 positions that would be affected. It is therefore staff's recommendation that the City Commission approve Resolution number 2572, amending the city's classification and pay plan.
Commissioners.
Move to approve Resolution number 2572.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. Item L, 2573. Mr. Bonaparte.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission. This is a resolution asking the City Commission for an increase in the purchasing authority for the city manager. The City Commission approved in the budget a funding for a pay and classification study. We received 5 proposals. 4 of them are under consideration. However, staff has not had a chance to do the background checks on these proposals. We would like to be able to do that within another week or 2, and therefore be able to go to contract and get the work started prior to the January 11th meeting, and therefore the city attorney has worked out language that does provide for this one instance for the city manager to have spending authority over the regular $50,000.
Thank you, sir. And to Velma's questions upstairs, Commissioner Williams or Dr. Williams, is that this is a one-time deal for this specific resolution for this specific item, correct?
Yes, and I think it could be clarified even a little more for the benefit of the commission. If you look at the resolution on page 5, item B, the end of that sentence in paragraph B says 50% of the level currently authorized. We could add the words for a classification and compensation study. That's what this is intended to do anyway, but that would just clarify for the benefit of the commission what this is actually to be used for.
I think that'd be good.
Move to approve resolution number 2573 as amended.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. That brings us to the city attorney's report. Mr. Colbert.
Just one quick thing to mention for information purposes. We're doing the closing tomorrow on the city's sale of property. I think you'll refer to it as the Hardy Avenue property, which has been previously authorized. The sale should close tomorrow to Heavy Highway Infrastructure, LLC. So that should be accomplished before the day's over tomorrow.
Great. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to piggyback on that if I could.
Okay.
Mr. Bonaparte, is Mr. George out there? Mr. Thomas, he wasn't there to hear it. At the task force meeting at the homeless services, at the Sanford Task Force on Homeless meeting Thursday, we were informed the homeless have moved back onto that property.
We were aware of that.
You were?
Yes. We discussed it this morning at our staff meeting.
Okay. And we don't know if it's the same ones or new ones, but they're back.
Sounds to me like it'll be their issue after tomorrow.
Well,
I'm joking.
we want to do it gently,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
No bulldozers. We just
Take that to heart. That's just a joke.
I know.
We'll get.
No, it's frustrating that the city went to such kind and gentle measures to assist them in moving, and some of them have returned.
But, Mr. Mayor, members of the Commission, Commissioner Mahaney's raised something that I don't know that all members of the Commission knew, and that is that there was a homeless camp at that location, and Mr. Thomas got with a number of different agencies as well as law enforcement to work with the individuals that were residing there so that they would have a good alternative. They were not just kicked out, but we worked with them with different social service agencies to provide services to them as they relocated.
That's a great segue into if you have a report.
I do not, but Mr. Folsom, as a follow-up to the Commission's discussions upstairs, has something for Commissioner Woodruff.
Which I think he's already given me.
Okay.
So apparently we're doing this as a resolution.
Yes.
As we discussed upstairs this summer when we were talking about budgets, I raised the issue that given that we've been doing one-time payments rather than salary increases, I was concerned that we really weren't doing enough for our employees. And then, we tried to do what we thought was going to be increasing the pay this year as a salary increase was turned down by one of our unions, which affected all of our unions. And so I'd like to propose that we do a $500 holiday pay for our employees. And when I was proposing that, I was not meaning for it to include us, but according to this resolution, it looks like it will include us.
State law, I think, states that when you do that, all employees. Isn't that right, Mr. Corbett?
The City Commission is considered employees of the city. So.
Haven't we exempted ourselves out of it?
We exempted ourselves when we did the 800, but quite frankly, this time I think I personally would like it because what I want to do with it is donate it to a charity in my district. I miss. You going to donate it to you? Well, after I got elected, we'd already had to stop, any discretionary money for us, and I kind of saw this as a way that I could help some folks at some organizations in my district. So I was hoping that we would not exempt ourselves this time.
Well, who voted to exempt us before?
Last time when we did the $800, which was from the excess insurance money,
I remember.
we didn't really vote. We just exempted ourselves.
But I learned later that I thought that there was some type of law stating that all employees,
Yeah.
if you're an employee of the city, qualifies for that. But like I said, I support it because every year, if the mayor remembers, I make the suggestion, but it hasn't been supported.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy to know that it's been
Absolutely,
supported this
me
year.
too.
Well, I know you and I had talked about it during the budget session.
Surely,
and
yeah.
So,
But if the other commissioners think that we should be exempt, that's fine too. I just thought if it passed, I had my eye on a charity.
okay.
I don't think you're going to find anybody who thinks it should be exempt.
Is this resolution from one we did before?
This is a resolution that
The law says it cannot be.
that accomplishes what you discussed upstairs. There was a resolution that was adopted last year when this was done. This is not that resolution.
Last year when we did the $800,
Seems like in 2014 there was a $250, as I recall, and looking back, for people employed after 2011, and maybe it was $750 for people employed prior to 2011.
That's right.
I think that was done last year.
That was with the
And it was done
insurance.
by
that was
resolution.
with, that's right. It was $250 and $750, yeah. And that's the one that we did not, the five of us did not
That was the
participate.
insurance payback.
Right. So, I think this is a great thing to do this time of year for our employees.
If the commission is of a mind to do it, I think a proper motion would be to move to approve the resolution of the city commission authorizing the payment as described in this document.
Second.
So moved.
Historic Preservation Board meeting, December 16th, 2015, 5:30 p.m., Sanford City Hall, City Commission Room.
Ready? Okay. Let's bring to order the regular scheduled meeting for December 16th, 2015. Let's take a roll call, please.
Anna Yaba.
Present.
Hank Deekhouse.
Here.
Cheryl Deming.
Here.
Ian Carfagno.
Here.
Tammy Anini.
Here.
Okay, we can review the minutes, please, from past meeting. We have two to review, the workshop and the regular meeting minutes. And if anyone wants to make a motion, please make a motion on both the...
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Would that be both minutes?
Yes.
Have a motion?
I'll second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's passed. I'd like to let everyone know that applicants are advised that if for any reason they are not satisfied with the outcome of tonight's meeting, they may file an appeal with the City Commission. Staff can help you with that process. Also, a building permit may be required for any certificate of appropriateness approved this evening. It is the applicant's responsibility to inquire with the building department as to whether or not a permit is required for the approved certificate of appropriateness. And we'll begin with PM1.
Are you ready for the background?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. The project is located at 300 East 2nd Street in the Downtown Commercial Historic District. In February 2015, the applicant received approval from the Historic Preservation Board to install 2 garage doors in the existing garage bays, a 7-foot by 8-foot wall on the north side of the building to conceal the side yard between the 2 buildings, and an 18-foot 6-inch by 25-foot stuccoed canopy on the south side of the building to match the finish of the building walls. The applicant has submitted a building permit revision in order to accommodate handicap-accessible restrooms, which will not fit into the existing addition. For this reason, the applicant is requesting approval to demolish the addition on the north side of the building, which is approximately 35 square feet, and replace with a new addition that's approximately 98 square feet. Schedule S states that any and all additions to stuccoed structures shall be of stucco to match the existing in color, composition, and texture. And staff's comments are the proposed new addition will be similar in design to the existing addition and will be stuccoed and painted to match the main building. Staff is recommending that the HPB grant approval to demolish the addition on the north side of the building and replace with a new addition at 300 East 2nd Street based on the finding that the proposed change is consistent with the purpose and intent of Schedule S. And in your packets, you have a Figure 1 that points out the area that we're talking about. This addition that was constructed on the building in the past is not original to the building, and it housed restrooms, but it was not nearly large enough to accommodate the handicap restrooms that they need for the business that's going in there. So it's really the only location that they can put it. They're designing the addition to match it pretty much exactly, except for it's going to be larger in square footage.
This is the brewery?
Correct.
Right across
That'll
the
be the Intercompass Brewing Company.
Is the applicant here? Can you introduce yourself and your address for the record, please?
Okay, my name is James Giuliani with Landmark Building Construction, and this is for 300 East 2nd Street.
First, is there anything you wanted to add to her
No.
synopsis?
No.
Okay. Any questions for this gentleman? Any questions on this?
No. I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I move to approve the request to demolish an addition on the north side of the building, approximately 35 square feet, and replace with a new addition, approximately 98 square feet at 300 East 2nd Street, based on the finding that the proposed alteration is consistent with the purpose and intent of Schedule S and complies with the design guidelines in Schedule S as outlined in the above staff report. Specifically, the proposed addition will not adversely impact the architectural style of the building or the surrounding historic district.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Anyone in the audience want to discuss this? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, motion
Okay.
passes. All right.
Thank you.
Let's move on to PM2, request to obtain certificate of appropriateness to approve alterations completed on the exterior of the building at 310 South Palmetto Avenue. Can you read the background, please, Steph?
The project is located at 310 South Palmetto Avenue in the Old Sanford Residential Historic District. The building was constructed in 1910. The applicant purchased the property in October 2015 and has undertaken repairs and alterations without a certificate of appropriateness. On November 17, 2015, staff visited the site to review the work and determine if a C of A would be granted administratively. Staff determined that the completed work would require approval by the Historic Preservation Board per Schedule S, Section 8.0C, City of Sanford Land Development Regulations. The work completed includes installation of vinyl shutters on the east elevation and replacement of porch flooring with deck boards. Staff's comments are as follows. The installed shutters are vinyl and do not match the corresponding window openings. Their shapes, material proportions, and design are not in character with the style of the building. The replacement flooring is wood, but is not tongue and groove and does not match the original porch flooring in size or shape. Staff is recommending the HPB deny the request for a certificate of appropriateness for alterations completed on the exterior of the building at 310 South Palmetto Avenue, based on a finding that the proposed changes are not consistent with the purpose and intent of Schedule S. Specifically, the alterations are not in character with the architectural style and are not consistent with the design materials and dimension of the building's original architecture.
Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Hi. Gonna introduce yourself and your address for the record, please.
Scott Mason, 110 West Indiana Avenue, DeLand.
Okay. Scott, is there anything you'd like to add to that background description of it?
The only thing, I mean, I understand the vinyl versus wood. I mean, the physical appearance obviously makes it look a lot better than, what it was before. But I understand if they need to be sized a little bit differently and put the wood up instead of the vinyl, so I'm okay with that. The porch there was a tongue and groove requested because that's what was there prior. The 201 address on 10th Street that I also did, I replaced that with tongue and groove. But the problem with the tongue and groove is that it retains a lot of water. So you have to drill holes in certain areas, which kind of, it makes it just look a little bit architecturally. When you go up on the porch, unless you don't drill the holes, it retains water. So I just decided to do this porch over here, which it looks a lot better. I understand the tongue and groove replacement, but quite honestly, this porch looks a lot better than the tongue and groove, and the water just drains right straight through. So, I guess my request is to approve what I replaced it with. It's wood. It is the same size and shape. It's just not tongue and groove.
Chairman?
Yes.
I just want to make clear that this application is to retain the alterations that have been completed. The applicant has not submitted to consider wood shutters. So if consideration of wood shutters is to be done by the board tonight, we need to somehow amend the application.
No. You can't amend it.
Because you're here to review what
Right.
was submitted.
Right. Of
So
course.
we don't have a request for wood shutters at
Thank
this time.
Okay.
The wood shutters could be administratively approved. Is that right?
I would not administratively approve, no.
No wood shutters?
I would put that to the board
Oh.
based on the architectural style and what was there historically.
Did it have wood shutters before?
Not to my knowledge.
When you purchased the property, there were no shutters on the...
No. But if you zoom out, I mean, it gives it a better appearance on the exterior. It's just a preference. But to me, when we put the wood shutters up, you take them, you remove them, it just becomes a little bit more generic. I mean, I've got no problem doing whatever the board decides. It just, to me, physically, architecturally, it just looks better.
Anyone have any questions for the? Okay. So you understand why you're here, right?
I do.
Okay. As much as I value opinions on the way things look, unfortunately, that's not how things work in the historic district. I mean, an opinion is great, but if the S code states that you can't have vinyl shutters, then as much as they may make the building visually look appealing.
I'll replace them and size them appropriately with wood. I mean,
right. Well, what will have to happen is you're in front of us here to get approved what you've already done. So we'll either approve or deny that.
That's fine.
And then if, based on that outcome, if you wanted to come before the board and say, I'll put wood shutters on, you'll have to create a C of A and come in front of us to request the approval for wood shutters.
So we're not gonna make that request now. We're gonna do that next month.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't amend that's just a verbal amendment can't work that way. And then obviously the boards on the the floor are required tongue and groove, regardless of
Even though
retaining
50%
water.
of all the historic houses down there have been replaced. I mean, I understand the code. I've read the code. I understand the code.
Then you understand why we're here. I mean, that's the whole reason why we're even here is the code.
Right. Yeah, I understand.
Before I make a motion, can I ask the lawyer a question? Are we not allowed to make amendments to anything? Or are we? I seem to recall in the past many years I've been on the board that we had made amendments if the applicant requests amendments to their applications.
You make amendments or the applicant make amendments?
If the applicant requests us to make an amendment, I thought we were allowed to do that. We've done it in the past.
No, you have done it in the past. The problem with doing that now, though, is that the public has the right to speak on every item that has a decision, that the decision is being made upon. If there's no agenda of that item, how does the public know what to come to speak on? That's the problem. That was a recent law change. There has been oral amendments in the past. I wouldn't recommend doing it. You have the power to do it, but I wouldn't recommend doing it because you could have somebody come in and say, well, I thought this was the only thing being considered. I would have come to the meeting if I would have known there was another issue before the
Well, isn't the agenda talking about shutters? Whether we approve or disapprove shutters? I mean,
but not shutters in general.
I'm asking the lawyer.
Completed is the wood floor, right?
What is on the agenda is a request to approve alterations completed. The agenda does not state shutters. Additionally, if you amend it verbally, the applicant has not submitted an application form, which means they haven't provided the required submittal documents. In order to make a request for wood shutters, they would have to measure the windows, have the dimensions, submit for what manufacturer they're going to do for the shutters, and also provide you the hardware, which you don't have any of that in front of you. So I would caution making a decision on something where you have no information to review.
Right. The application itself just says porch.
Okay. All right, then I'd like to make a motion. I move to deny the request to obtain a C of A.
Okay.
What?
No, it's fine. You can make a motion, but you continue your motion. Go ahead.
I move to deny the request to obtain a certificate of appropriateness for alterations completed on the exterior of the building at 310 South Palmetto Avenue based on the finding that the proposed scope of work was not consistent with the purpose and intent of Schedule S and does not comply with the design guidelines in Schedule S.
We have a motion. We have a second.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there anyone, before we decide, anyone else who would like to speak on this issue in the audience?
For the record, my name is Linda Kuhn, and I reside at 313 Palmetto, directly across the street. I understand that Mr. Mason is now saying that he understands the rules, but I live across the street from this house. And what he does is he comes in on the weekends. I watched him put the porch in on the weekend. He understands the rules, but he doesn't want to comply. Now, I understand you're denying this, and the porch will come at a later date? Is that what you're asking?
What's in front of us is the replacing approving the vinyl shutters, which was work that was done, and the work on the floor.
You're approving the vinyl shutters?
No, either we will be approving or denying these.
Okay.
Yeah, the motion set forth is to deny both items for the vinyl and the replacing of the wood floor on the porch.
Okay, and I also have a...
Go ahead. The only motion was about the floor, because that's the only thing before you.
No, the shutters are too.
The shutters
but the shutters are on the art form.
If you look at the PM1, Lonnie.
PM2.
Oh, PM2. I'm sorry. Yeah.
He's looking at the C of A. Doesn't mention shutters. That's what he's going to go by.
You got me going now. We're on PM2. Okay. The only application I have is the porch, so I guess there's two applications. Sorry.
Okay, so your pending motion is to deny the existing shutters that are up right now, which are not consistent with the architectural integrity of the home. And we're also talking about the porch.
The wood floor replacement, the porch
And
replacing
you're going
the
to
floor.
deny the porch.
That's the motion.
The motion,
Well, that's
the
what
motion is to deny, correct?
Okay. I have a question to Mr. Groot, please, if I could ask him a question on the record.
Please.
If it is denied, and obviously then he is required to remove the work that he has done, correct?
This board doesn't require him to, but he would be in violation of the code, and he could be brought before a code enforcement procedure.
Okay, well, so there is further action that can be taken. I have another legal question that I'd like to ask you. Is there anything statutorily or in our municipal code that addresses how a owner is allowed to pull a permit? Do you have to be homesteaded? Does it have to be owner occupied? Or can an absentee investor pull a permit?
It's all regulated by the Florida Building Code, and that requires an owner to apply for the permit or provide an agent for the owner to apply for the permit.
Okay.
Be a contractor or
But I'm asking you, do you know there is criteria for you to pull an owner permit?
Oh, sure.
In other words, that you don't just do it even though you may own the home, but it's not homesteaded or it's not owner occupied. In other words, are you required to have a licensed contractor do work?
under most conditions, but you can have an owner accomplish work done under certain circumstances.
Okay. I was just curious because he has two homes and he's pulling permits as the owner of the homes. And I was just curious if there was a statutorily obligation of a criteria that has to be owner occupied or homesteaded. Okay.
But an owner has to pull the permit. Sometimes an owner can do the work themselves too.
Correct.
Can act as their own contractor, yeah.
Okay. Well, I wasn't certain, and I just wanted to get clarification because it was brought up during some discussions. So, that I highly object to how he has conducted himself. He has his staff come in on the weekends. The porch was put in on a weekend. He's saying to you that he is aware of the rules, yet he has blatantly violated them and continued to do so. He's been red tagged. He continues to work. I have no faith that even though he's standing here in front of you, that he's going to change any of it. But that's my personal opinion. The houses are for sale. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mary. For 30 in the motion to deny. The houses are for sale. I'm an investor. I'm trying to make improvements into the community. Yes, my workers come in on the weekends, but they also come in during the week, all week long, at all hours. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. We're here to deny or approve what we have in front of us. So, do you want me to just stay up here for 201 10th, or?
I think, was there anyone else in the audience who wanted to speak before we vote on that motion? Okay, then all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Fortunately, that motion does not pass.
Okay, that's fine.
Motion. Okay, so PM3 is requesting to obtain a certificate of appropriateness to approve alterations completed on the exterior of the building at 201 East 10th Street. And staff, please read the background on that.
Chairman, I'm not sure if I heard you correctly on the last one. Can you just repeat the outcome of your decision?
The outcome is, okay. The motion to deny was unanimous.
Okay, so they were denying
Denied.
retention of
Correct.
the changes already.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay. The project is located at 201 East 10th Street in the Old Sanford Residential Historic District. The Seminole County Property Appraiser lists the year of construction as 1910. The applicant purchased the property in October 2015 and has undertaken repairs and alterations without a certificate of appropriateness. On November 17, 2015, staff visited the site to review the work and determine if the C of A could be granted administratively. Staff determined that the completed work would require approval by the Historic Preservation Board per Schedule S, Section 8.0C, City of Sanford Land Development Regulations. The work completed is listed below. And what we've got is on the south elevation, removal of a back door, installation of a new fiberglass door, removal of 2 windows, installation of a 2-foot by 2-foot salvage wood window, and installation of new aluminum siding. East elevation, removal of a window, installation of a 2-foot by 2-foot salvaged wood window, and installation of new aluminum siding. On the north elevation, removal of existing spindles on the porch and installation of new porch spindles. Staff has added sections of Schedule S, page S29, S33, S34, and S31. Staff's comments are: the existing nonconforming aluminum siding was removed on the south and east side of the building, limited to the 1-story section. New aluminum siding was installed after the windows and door were replaced. Staff has verified that the original wood siding is intact beneath the 2-story section of the building. The wood siding material profile, dimension, and style should have been replicated for the 1-story section. 2 small windows on the south elevation were removed. The 1929 Sanborn fire insurance map reflects that this area originally functioned as a porch. Therefore, these windows were not original. 1 single window on the south elevation was aluminum and was also not original to the building. However, the dimension and orientation of this window opening is consistent with other original windows on the building. The new window installed on this elevation is size 2-foot by 2-foot and is a salvaged window. Florida Building Code does not allow for a salvaged window to be installed in a new opening, and therefore a building permit may not be issued for this item. For this reason, the applicant has proposed removing this recently installed 2-foot by 2-foot window and installing a new Pella A series casement window, which is figure 5, sized at 2-foot by 2-foot. The door on the south elevation was removed. The 1929 Sanborn fire insurance map reflects that this area originally functioned as a porch, and therefore the door was not original. However, the dimension and orientation, I'm sorry, I have something from the last one. Schedule S requires new doors to be appropriate to the style and period of the structure. The fiberglass door is not consistent with the time period of the structure. For this reason, the applicant has proposed removing this recently installed fiberglass door and replacing it with a new wood door. Figure 6 reflects the applicant's proposed choice of doors labeled A, B, and C. And those are ranked in order of what the applicant would prefer, A being most preferred. On September 8, 2015, staff issued administrative approval to replace wood porch spindles where missing. New porch spindles must be wood and must match in dimension, profile, texture, and other visual qualities. The existing porch spindles were completely removed and replaced with new spindles. And I did not put a motion in this one. What I've got for the recommendation is the Historic Preservation Board must determine if it is appropriate to grant approval for alterations completed on the exterior of the building at 201 East 10th Street. If the Historic Preservation Board determines the work is not consistent with the purpose and intent of Schedule S, the board will take action to enforce the requirements of Section 80H violations.
First, anything you'd like to add? This is going to be a tough one.
I mean, I've already went over what needs to be replaced by her recommendations, and we've identified to replace the windows based on engineering requirements and what the building permit will approve. The door was put on by my previous contractor. We've already identified a wood door that we can replace. The only thing, the siding that was damaged prior to taking the windows off was replaced by new siding, and if I replace what I put on there, which is the original, I mean, I read the code and I understand that I have to get approval for, you know, when I remove it, to replace it with an original wood siding. That's what she had told me. If I take what's off there now, what we took off, which was a couple panels, and I replace that with wood, the consistency of it on the exterior is going to look horrible. You're going to have partial wood, partial vinyl, and I understand that the code says, you know, the objective is in the long term is to make the entire existing wall from the aluminum siding to wood. But what was replaced was only a few panels, which I'd have to replace with wood. Then you're going to have an inconsistency of metal and wood, so it's really going to look awful. If you want me to do it, I'll do it. I have no problem with that. We've found a mill company local that has those wood sidings that I can get. Again, but it's going to look 85% metal and 15% wood. But if that's what you want, then I'll do it. And then lastly, the spindles. I've searched everywhere for. If you look at the example of the spindles, the dimensions are exactly. The height requirement were exact. Architecturally, in between the two, the base and the top, it's a little different. So I'd like to get those approved. I mean, there's a little difference there. So I guess it's just it's your choice if you want me to get those milled and replace them all back to the original. But they're very similar. It took me a little effort to try to find some of those. But.
So, I have a question. You said that you read the code. Was that before or after you did the work?
After.
So you read the code after you did the work?
Well, because I went to apply for a roof, and then we started talking about it, and then I was served a couple stop work notices. So then I went down to talk to Christine, and she had pointed out the code.
I have a question. Was there a reason that you continued to do the work after the red tag?
Most of the work was pretty much already completed, and then we just finished it. So I just wanted to get it finished, and I knew that it was going to be in front of you guys anyway, and I'd rather just have it completed and present my case or whatever. So I mean, I'm going to do whatever you guys want me to do to get it right. So it doesn't, what happened has happened. Whatever you want me to do to correct it, I'm going to correct it, regardless with what Miss Mary here has to say. So just let me know what you want me to do.
But, see, and I know that we all have objection, obviously, and I appreciate what you're saying, but it makes it seem like you're being a little blasé about it. I mean, that it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, and unfortunately, that doesn't really work for us.
I understand.
Moving forward with anything, you obviously, I think, hopefully, you need to understand that, you're not going to find anybody more knowledgeable and more helpful than Christine.
I know that.
Okay. So before you want to do anything, moving forward with anything in your houses, I would go talk to her first. Okay. Because it seems to me as though you wanted to get it done. Well, now you're going to possibly incur, labor and time and materials to replace it the right way, instead of just getting it finished and hopefully that we're going to maybe pass it.
Correct.
But you didn't answer the question she asked is, why did you continue after you were red tagged?
Well, I did answer it because I wanted to finish it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's just a...
Were you given a red tag because of the C of A violations or because you didn't have a building permit?
It was CFA.
And the work that you continued doing, was that C of A work or was that...
C of A.
It was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you remove the first red tags?
I didn't remove any
Somebody
tags.
did, because they were taken down on both buildings. In fact, the one on Palmetto doesn't have one now. And I think you received a second one on 10th Street.
Well, I had asked my person that was there to take them all off because they were scattered all over different windows to consolidate them.
What does it say on the red tag? Does it say, do not remove?
I just read stop work order, but that's fine. But yeah, if they're not there, then they're not there.
I'll make a motion to deny the request to obtain a C of A for the alterations completed on the exterior building at 201 East 10th Street based on the finding that the proposed scope of work is not consistent with the purpose and intent of Schedule S and does not comply with the design guidelines in Schedule S.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there anyone else who'd like to discuss this before we vote on it, please?
My name's Ron Masowski. I live at 918 Magnolia, kitty corner to that house on 10th Street. And as far as the work being mostly completed by the time the work order was up, is an absolute false. That stop work order has been up for weeks, and there's been workers in and out of there. Weekends, weekdays, it doesn't matter. The thing has been taken down, put back up, taken down, put back up. It's a joke. It is. It's just a farce. I think Linda is correct in saying, you know what, he's just going to do what he needs to do to get by, and that's all he's going to do. I don't think he has any honest attempt to do anything correctly, and it shows in the house, too.
Thank you. Please.
So you can clearly get it on the record. Previously, you made a motion to deny. Obviously, you haven't determined what's going to happen on this one. One more question for Mr. Groot. Can there be a timetable put on this other than, okay, he has not received a C of A, he hasn't done the work needs to be removed, now it needs to be replaced with what is approved under Certificate of Appropriateness. Is there a timetable that can be set that he has to have the appropriate work done within 60 days, 90 days?
Not by this board, but he's in violation of...
I understand. So how soon does it become a code violation is my question.
Make a motion. It's a code violation.
It immediately becomes a code violation.
And it could be pursued as a code violation under various remedies by the city.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that this makes it a code violation, that there's not a timetable that in the meantime, he ends up selling the homes. He has not rectified the C of A issues. And then where does the responsibility fall?
If this motion were to pass, it would establish several things. The COA was necessary, that the work that was done was not eligible for a C of A, and that the application for that work was denied. All those things together mean that there's a code violation of it.
Okay, but the code violation gets filed, but until he appears in front of the magistrate, it's sort of a limbo. Let's say he sells 310 Palmetto Avenue tomorrow. What happens to this board's action is my question.
Nothing, but the purchaser files a code violation.
But they're not going to know that. And I'm sure he's not going to tell them.
Somebody should, if there's a realtor, they should
It's
know.
Linda.
If there's due diligence, they should know. So
Okay.
But you're right.
Will it show up on a title search is what I'm asking. No.
No, but that's good. But one thing, there is a resolution that should show up on all title searches that this area is a historic preservation district, and that was intended years ago. I think I've been part of that. That was intended years ago so that people would inquire when they were buying houses as to the status of the property, whether there was anything being done on the property or had been done on the property that didn't comply with the S code. That was the goal. I'm not sure it's showing up in every title report, but it should.
Okay. I just want to make sure, because everybody on this board and everyone that's here, clearly, we live in the historic district. We deal with the historic district. We value the historic district. We put the time and effort into making sure that the renovations that are done are appropriate. And to me, it's a real slap in the face when an absentee owner who does not live in the city of Sanford, who lives outside of our district, comes in and does this kind of stuff, and then the nonchalant, oh, well, I wanted to finish the work. A stop work order means stop, that you're doing something inappropriate. Thank you.
I do have a girlfriend that bought a historic home and wasn't made aware of code violations, and she ended up suing the homeowner and won because they're selling it knowing they have violations. So it is illegal to do that.
Disclosure obligations by a realtor, by an owner, and it should show up in the title too. So there could even be a title claim if it doesn't show up.
Right.
Yeah. Can I just say one last thing for the record? Is that okay?
Please.
Okay. And the community that's here, the reason why we're here is to get things approved or denied, okay? 201 10th Street was an eyesore before I got to it. I've put over $55,000 in the renovation. Doesn't matter. I put $55,000 in the renovation. There's three things that was done wrong. The two windows and the back door and the spindles. That's four things. Okay? That's it. We're talking about $1,500. Maybe. Okay, so now I've got to go back and do it. I'm learning. My boys go to All Souls Catholic School. We've been in the community 8 years. You guys live here. That's great. So I'm here to let you know, for the record, whatever you recommend that I need to do to correct it, I will do it. If I get a contract on a house, I will make sure that what needs to happen will happen based on what you're recommending me to do. So please don't make decisions for thinking that I'm not going to do something when I've already spent $55,000 on East 10th and I've already spent $65,000 on Palmetto. Palmetto is going to take me about $1,000 to replace the porch. Okay, we're not talking about $20,000 here. Had I not come along, these things would still be sitting there as an eyesore. Okay, so these things are very easily to be rectified, and I'll do it. So just tell me what to do, and I'll do it, and that's it. And you know what? There's 4 or 5 others in the community that I'm also going to do. So we can come back here again if things aren't going right. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Please.
Persecute. You're fine. Everything's going to work out. Okay.
Alec 1019 Magnolia Avenue. Well, he's going to leave, but anyway, I did speak with Mr. Mason. I believe it was the day or the day after his closing, and I was excited to see that property at 210 was going to be purchased and was going to receive attention, renovation, repairs as needed. He stated he was well aware that this was in the historic district. He was well aware of the requirements of the historic district, said he would abide them as he did in DeLand, as he said he'd done many homes here. And if he hadn't left, I would have told him that what he has done has missed an opportunity. This is a historic district, and it has appeal to a certain homeowner that wants to live in a historic district. Those of us here already do embrace that and do like living here. The value of the homes have since gone up a great deal, not just because of the economy, but because they are in a registered historic district. So he's missed his opportunity on 2 occasions here. He's made no friends within the district because the work has been, I would say, shoddy, and that's my professional opinion, and you can put that on the record. And he has already stated, as he left, that he was going to do more homes. So, unfortunately, he left, so he doesn't hear the advice that he's going to be watched very carefully, even more so now. And again, if he wants to capitalize as an investor, do it right and market it to the right the buyers, and he will do well. As far as the amount of money that goes into it, that is of no concern to you or to the residents that live around him. That is his information, and its only importance is to him as an investor. He blew his chance. Sorry.
Thank you.
Maria Shreve, 1118 South Palmetto. I'm curious on some clarification. My understanding is, and Christine, you can help here, if you remove aluminum siding, that you have to redo all facades of the house, not just the facade that you're removing?
No. What the code...
It's just... Okay, sorry.
The code states, and this is from page S29 of the code, it says resurfacing existing historic landmarks or contributing buildings with new material that is inconsistent with the style of the building or was unavailable when the building was constructed, such as artificial stone, brick veneer, asbestos or asphalt shingles, rustic shades, and vinyl or aluminum siding shall be prohibited. In cases where artificial siding is currently in place, its removal is not necessary. An owner may retain the material or remove it. If the material is removed, however, it shall be replaced with historically appropriate material.
Okay, I walk by this home all the time, almost on a daily basis. So all the aluminum, the back siding was fully removed, not just pieces. Mm-hmm. So the south side and the east side would require new clapboard siding. Is that?
So it may be helpful if I show you the image here on the overhead. So back here,
Yes.
this was an original part of the building, but it was a one-story portion. And this here was also original. It was a one-story porch. So the removal of the siding was limited to where that one-story piece meets the two-story piece, and the same thing on the east side. So this whole back area was where the siding was removed and replaced with new aluminum siding. The area north of that on both elevations was not touched. So this section of wall here, and on the other side. So basically the area that's limited to the one-story section was where it was removed. So if you read exactly what the code says is, an owner may retain the material or remove it. If the material is removed, however, it shall be replaced with historically appropriate materials. So in this one-story addition is where he should have replaced it with historically appropriate materials. Because the other sections of building were not touched, he can retain it, as the code allows for retention of that. So the two-story sections could be retained. Really, the one-story section should have gone back to what the original would have been.
Okay. Thank you for clarification. And thank you, folks.
Thank you. Anything further? Okay, we had a motion and a second before us. We're going to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, it's unanimous to deny. Let's review the minor reviews and the 6 months at the same time, please. No motion is needed for those guys. If you have any questions, please go ahead and you can ask Christine. Christine, we can hand out the code enforcement stuff while they're looking it over here. If they have any questions, I'll ask. But
Oh, yeah, did you miss that part of the agenda?
well, I was just the extensions. I guess we were. If anybody that's on the agenda, if you wanted to talk about it, you can. If they have any questions, so you can.
Yeah, I just wanted to say we have 2 extension requests, and I'm just going to go ahead and read them. On April 15, 2015, the Historic Preservation Board approved the request for a 500-square-foot addition at 1301 South Park Avenue and a 700-square-foot addition at 1307 Park Avenue based on a finding that the proposed alterations are consistent with the purpose and intent of Schedule S and complies with the specific design guidelines contained within Schedule S. The approval for this item expired on October 15, 2015, and the applicant is seeking an extension to the previously granted approval. And I do have the file, so if any of you don't remember what was approved at that time, I could pass around the file for your review. And the second item is on May 20th, 2014, the Historic Preservation Board approved the request to replace a shingle roof with a metal roof at 911 South Magnolia Avenue based on the finding that the proposed change is consistent with the purpose and intent of Schedule S and complies with the specific design guidelines contained within Schedule S. The approval for this expired on September 20th, 2014, and this applicant is seeking an extension to the previously granted approval. And again, I have the file on that if you'd like to see it.
And can those be administratively extended, or do we have to extend them?
No, they were board approvals, so the board would have to grant the extension.
So if anyone wants to make a motion on each extension.
I'll make a motion to approve both extension requests as outlined in the agenda.
Is that good enough, Lonnie? Lonnie, is that good enough? Do we need to, should we define that a bit more? Is that good enough? That's probably,
I'm sorry.
you're reading something else. Just, hey, Hank, why don't you just go ahead and revise that and just,
Made a motion
the
to
addresses for both the
dismiss
addresses.
the attorney of...
Okay, got it. Just make it, when you make your motion, just to cite the addresses for both the extensions. That'll help.
I make a motion to approve the extensions for 1301 South Park Avenue
7.
and 1307 South Park Avenue and 911 South Magnolia Avenue, as outlined in our agenda.
Yeah, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'm sorry. Did you say 1307?
Be correct.
I did.
Is it 1301 or 1307?
Both.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So both extensions passed. Thank you.
And Mary, did you already pass out the code enforcement report? Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sticker every time.
My goodness.